Hello, my name is Radhika Shah, and I'll go through my presentation about how sustainability in product innovation is not only possible, it actually helps businesses improve their bottom lines. Dr. Frank Bunting, a life cycle costing expert, quotes how important is the product itself in building relationship with the customer. Steve Jobs mentioned that the main aspect of the design of the product is how it sustains, then its aesthetics. So, diving deeper into the world of sustainability, the global sustainability goals are adopted by the UN to create a better future by 2030. They aim to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure peace, health, and prosperity. 193 member countries have adopted these goals. So, where does Australia stand in this journey? Here are some current stats. The CO2 emissions and the circularity rate are on an improvement trend, but the industry and waste sector continues to emit large amounts of CO2. Let's look at the current state of SMEs in Australia regarding sustainability. Almost half of them believe that they do not have enough resources, and the knowledge gap and complexity of processes are followed after that handicap. In the regional area, they believe that they do not impact the environment, while on the flip side, majority of the small businesses are exploring sustainable practices driven by the consumer demand. To become a sustainable business and to clearly demonstrate this commitment to the customers, there are several recognized accreditations and certifications that can be adopted. These frameworks help verify environmental and social responsibility while building trust and credibility in the market. Let's look at some of the main ones. The first one is life cycle assessment, commonly known as LCA, which is a method to assess the environmental impact of a product in its entirety. Australian businesses Sculpt Form and Circular hold this accreditation. B Corp certification is awarded by B Lab Australia and New Zealand to businesses that meet high standards of social and environmental performance, transparency, and accountability. Examples of Australian businesses holding these credits is Bank Australia, 99 Bikes, and RM Williams. Next is an EPD. An EPD is an environmental product declaration which is independently verified by a third party that communicates transparent and comparable data and other relevant environmental information about the product life cycle. This kind of certification is especially very useful in the building industry. For example, if it is an insulation product, the EPD of an insulation product tells the architect that what is the environmental impact of that product from the time it was manufactured till the time it was sent to the landfill. The global green tag has become really popular over the last few years. It's an Australian certification but popular all over the world. This certification scores the product against six main sustainability assessment criteria and furthermore 20 plus life cycle and social criteria. Products from building industry to household products, they all go for this global green tag certification, which helps them market being a more sustainable product. Social life cycle assessment is a technique for assessing the social and socio-economic aspects of products and their potential positive and negative impacts along their life cycle. For example, the city of Melbourne worked with life cycles to explore how circular economy models could cut emissions and manage climate risk across local businesses and the government. With Who Gives a Crap, they partnered to assess the environmental impact of their recycled and bamboo toilet paper. The company already donates half of its profit to building toilets in developing countries, and this project helped them understand and improve their own sustainability footprint. Now, let's dive deeper with some in depth case studies. My first example of businesses who has blended profit with circularity is Good Circle, a Melbourne based social enterprise which provides circular white goods solution for a sustainable and inclusive future. They basically collect non working fridges and washing machines from households repair it, refurbish it, and resell it as second-hand white goods. This creates a win-win situation for two types of customers involved. One is whose fridge is not working and needs to be removed, and the other customer who do not want to spend big bucks on a brand new appliance. And the biggest winner here is the environment, where instead of that piece of appliance going to the landfill, stays in the circulation. Their model is such that in case a fridge has reached a point where it cannot be restored or repaired anymore, they will degas it in a responsible manner and dispose the gas in a responsible manner, saving it directly being released in the atmosphere. Doing so far, they have averted 5,000 tons of CO2 and provided 4,000 households with functional but cheap appliances. Their revenue forecast for 2025 is 2.5 million and is showing an upward trend on the coming years. Koskela is another example. It is an Australian company that designs and manufactures furniture, lighting, homewares, and textiles, focusing on sustainability and social impact. They are known for being Australia's first B Corp certified furniture company, which means that they balance profit with ethical and environmental goals. Their work includes creating products with minimal environmental impact and actively collaborating with First Nations artists to celebrate indigenous culture and support their communities. Koskela is actively moving towards a sustainable future and has a commitment to total circularity by 2027 and absolute zero emissions by 2035. Koskela has a firm belief in celebrating Australia's unique Indigenous culture, which is reflected in their social impact projects, which have returned 1.6 million to First Nations communities. One more fantastic organization I would like to mention is Close the Loop. Close the Loop first earned the trust of the global imaging industry by designing and managing highly efficient ink and toner take back recovery and reuse programs. Their partnerships with Fortune 500 companies such as Xerox, Staples, HP, and Konica Minolta attest to their expertise and reliability. Today, manufacturers of all type turn to close the loop to minimize waste and advance a circular economy. They transfer items that would normally end up into landfill and oceans into useful commodities, returning them to the supply chain and maximizing the value of the resources. Their recycling programs include cartridge, battery, cosmetics, and soft plastic recycling. They have developed and introduced a latest product called Toner Plus. Toner Plus is the closed loop's innovative asphalt additive. Formulated over the past 10 years to facilitate a much needed application for waste toner and soft plastics, this groundbreaking product is a key ingredient to making high performance asphalt roads that last longer and require less maintenance than the traditional asphalt. It is designed to melt into, extend, and modify the bituminous binder mastic in asphalt, and it can be added to existing asphalt manufacturing processes easily. This company again proves that sustainability and profit are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they go hand in hand. Here are some great interesting figures and facts of this company. Number one is it is an Australian stock exchange listed company with a total revenue of 219 million, which is almost 60% up to the previous period. The growing operational leverage is 26 million. It has got a strong cash generation, and all the figures show a upward trend. For Australian small and medium businesses, integrating sustainability into product development starts with the right framework. By following proven models and guidelines, they can set themselves up for a long term success, creating products that are both profitable as well as planet friendly. Let's look into few of them. The Cohen model explains the fuzzy front end of innovation, the stage where ideas are explored before formal development begins. It highlights the five interconnected activities like opportunity identification, opportunity analysis, idea genesis, idea selection, and concept development. Driven by leadership and culture, the model is flexible and iterative, helping organizations turn vague ideas into viable innovation opportunities. It is important for the businesses to include sustainability of the product at the very start stage. This will help manufacture or create a genuinely sustainable product. Currently, what companies generally do is they manufacture the product and then think about the product sustainability at the end of life of the product. In fact, it should be the opposite. Next is a product innovation charter. A product innovation charter is like a guideline for developing new products. It defines the goals, target market, and guiding principles for innovation. To make it sustainable, businesses can embed clear environmental objectives such as reducing carbon impact, using circular materials, or designing for longevity. This ensures every new product contributes to both business growth as well as a better planet. Next is an important process called the stage gate. It is a step by step process to product development that helps manage innovation efficiently. It moves through stages like idea generation, development, testing, and launch with decision points or gates in between. To create truly sustainable products, businesses should embed sustainability criteria at every stage, from using eco friendly materials during design to assessing life cycle impacts before launch. This ensures that sustainability isn't an afterthought, but a key factor guiding each decision throughout the innovation journey. Australia has its own circular economy framework, the one which we cannot ignore. This framework is a comprehensive governmental document published in 24. This framework outlines the national mission to double the country's circularity by 2035 by shifting away from linear take, make, dispose model to one focused on resource efficiency, reuse, and recycling. The document details three core targets: reducing material footprint, lifting materials productivity, and recovering resources, and identifies four sectorial priorities: industry, built environment, food and agriculture, and resources. The framework also explains the role of various stakeholders. These are the different Australian businesses of different industries highlighted in this framework. That brings us to the key takeaways of my presentation. For convenience, I've created a cheat sheet businesses can use to include sustainability in product development and their practices. Businesses should align their sustainability goals with their core strategy and embed them into the product innovation charter, setting clear targets and tracking progress. Use the agile stage gate method to redesign innovation processes for sustainable outcomes. Collaborate with industry bodies, government, and social organizations to find greener raw materials and leverage accreditations like EPDs, LCAs, and B Corps for a competitive edge. Make sustainability a core message in marketing. Focus on education instead of promotion. Stay true to the ACCC Environmental Claims Code and align with the National Waste Policy Action Plan. I've also outlined a few things SMEs should avoid on their sustainability journey. Do not greenwash. Think about sustainability from the design stage, not the end. Treat it like a strategy, not a cost. Collaborate across all teams. Don't work in silos. Keep innovating, educating your people, and stay transparent. And that's all from me. Thanks for listening. I hope you get something out of this presentation. Thank you. Bye bye.